following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer, the sports talk, and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinski as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer, sports talk, and a whole lot more on this 27th day of December 2024. Today's opening segment is brought to you by Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to righteousfelon.com for the best in craft jerky out there and use promo code BELLYUP at checkout for 15% off and get yourself a belly full of Righteous Felon Jerky, the best there is in the land. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and podcasts, such as my guys over there at Craft Food Sports, the No Credentials Required guys, on and on it goes. There's 1,000 more, obviously, but that's ones that came to mind right now. A couple I listened to earlier today, along with my man, Jim, the fan in the van. Make sure you check out his entertaining show today. I learned a lot about old Jimbo today. That was quite astonishing. He let out some fantasies that he didn't know he had that just came out, and he's got a inner Matthew McConaughey as well, but it was a really entertaining show from Jim. Before I get going on today's podcast, I'd like to say give the old 1420 tip of the cap to Gleyber Torres. Signed a 1-year deal with the Detroit Tigers today. That's it for Gleyber Day in the Bronx. It was a good ride while he was there. The Tigers are getting a very good player, not a great player, but a good player that's going to help them out for sure. And Lou Gamlin over the Captain Luke Extravaganza, you're getting a good one over there for the Detroit Tigers. See if they can go to that next level. I thought they could have kept him around for another year, but maybe they're moving Jazz Chisholm over to second base, his rightful position. Then they're going to maybe hope DJ LeMahieu can play at third, or maybe Bregman or somebody's going to end up at third base for the New York Yankees. But enough of the Yankees talk for today. Happy holidays, by the way, to everybody who's been, taking some time off, time away from work. You had 360 some days to do whatever you got to do, and it's time well spent with friends and family and just relaxing maybe on the couch, watching some sports, as a lot of people did over this holiday week. And well, color me surprised, surprise, surprise. People are a little bit upset with the National Football League. And to not my surprise, they found out that maybe, just maybe, the product isn't nearly as good as everybody was led to believe that it was. What a steaming hot pile of crap that Christmas Day games were. I actually sat with the in-laws for a little bit watching that game, the Chiefs and Steelers game, and it was not entertaining at all. I didn't even give my eyeballs 1 second of the Texans game later on that night. I'm not interested at all in watching any of that crap. The NFL, it's popular because it's popular, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's like that cool kid in high school, and then in 5 years when you go back after college, he's still the same kid in high school pushing the same crap and the same stories and everything else. I mean, I do that too. But it's one of those things. The NFL, they have a major problem on their hands, and I don't know if it's ever going to come through, because it's, like I said, it's popular because it's popular. They shove it down your throat on a daily basis, nightly basis, wherever it may be, podcasts and TV shows and everything that it might be, because it sells. And it sells because it's popular, and it's one of those things. If they keep throwing it at you, but eventually people are going to, I truly believe this in my heart of hearts, that people are going to eventually get sick of having to pay for streaming services, having games on every day of the week, having games here, having games there, games with no rest days, games with bad players, games with bad teams, games that are just non-consequential to anybody's thought process. Always on. Bad teams with bad quarterbacks who have no hope in developing. Good quarterbacks who have no hope in developing. Overpaid players. Coaches are getting overpaid. Coaches getting recycled, and on it goes. Yes, it happens in other sports, but the other sports don't claim to be the National Football League. And the greatest thing in sports entertainment since Hulk Hogan beat Andre the Giant, or Hulk Hogan beat Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 1. This sports entertainment the NFL is producing on a daily basis now is absolute hot garbage. And anybody wants to disagree with me, watch that game last night, the Seahawks and the Bears. And I feel bad for my brother-in-law, James. He's a diehard Bears fan, but how anybody can actually sit through that crap and watch that with the hopes that your team might pull something off, your team might do something. And what are you watching for now, anyways? Your team ain't going nowhere. Most of these teams are out of the playoffs. It's all said and done. It's absolute garbage what the NFL is putting out there on a daily basis. And the product is not getting better. You go through how many teams are out, and I know you can do it pretty much every sport now with how many teams are out of the playoff hunt early and often. But there's a lot of teams we could talk about next season right now that aren't making the playoffs next year. You know, it's absolute garbage. I think people are starting to catch on with how much of an absolute money grab this is. An absolute disaster of a money grab. And I think the NFL is going to figure out a little bit. And I was listening to Jim. I had this show in mind before you did yours this morning, so I'm just kind of piggybacking on what you had to say. But the business side of things is really taking over the National Football League, and the on-the-field product doesn't matter to anybody anymore. You look at that Beyonce show that they had at halftime. Like I said, I didn't watch the game, but it was all about the Beyonce show, and they paid her a lot of money to be out there to just draw in a different demographic, drawing more people on Christmas Day because it draws in more people, more advertising dollars, and the multi-billion-dollar machine keeps going in the National Football League. And it's not an entertaining brand of sport entertainment that people are going to put up with anymore. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that people are 100% sick of seeing hot garbage more often than not when they turn on their television. It's not the people watch more for their fantasy football teams, and now the fantasy football players are done. People aren't watching. They're not watching. Their teams are either out or their fantasy football team is done. They might be watching for their parlays on a Sunday now, but now you don't know what day of the week the games are on because they're on so often. And then it's on and on it goes. And these teams, they have a lack of depth because there's a lack of talent. And that goes back to college too. We'll get that in a half a second as well. But how this watered down product, people are actually getting tired of it. You read things on the X machine or Twitter machine or whatever it's going to be. You listen to podcasts. You watch different shows. You talk to people on the street. How people are like, what am I doing watching this? It's not good. It's not entertaining. It's not fun to watch. This isn't my grandpa's football. This isn't my dad's football. That smash mouth, knock 'em, drag 'em, 6-3 game last night. I think the final score was. That is not entertaining. It is not entertaining, and it's not good. And it's a product of the business side of the sport. It's the product of the business taking over from the sport. It's not the business of sports. It's just business now. All these extra games are there for one reason and one reason only: to make money. Going to different streaming services is there for one reason. It's not to draw bigger crowds. It's not, because they already got you. They got you. Now they got you hook, line, and sinker to sign up with these other streaming services. They are just doing it on and on and on it goes. Because you know what? Everybody wants to hang with the cool kid in high school until the cool kid in high school isn't cool anymore. That's when this is going to start getting old. And the NFL is going to get to that point because people are sick of it. They know they have to add all of these Beyonce type of shows. And I'm not nothing against old Bouncy, nothing against Bouncy at all. But they know they have to add all this extra entertainment to make the game worthwhile, to make people want to watch this crap. And that's what it is. It's crap. And they have to find other ways again to draw people in. But they're going to find that without your having to go onto Netflix and YouTube Plus and to whatever else on Peacock and whatever it's going to be, that people are going to go, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore. My team's done. My team stinks. This isn't entertaining. The scores are out of hand. The officiating's bad. And I don't know if the officiating's bad. I'll go back to what Jim was saying this morning a little bit, but I don't know if the officiating is bad or instant replay is too good. That's what it could be. I mean, you could call holding on every. I watched like I said, I watched that a little bit of that game on Christmas Day with my in-laws there, and you could call holding on every play. There was a couple plays. Like, oh, I guess it's a penalty, I guess. But there's got to be a way to get rid of all that holding and everything else. But I don't know if the officiating's bad. These guys are ultra fast. They're ultra athletic. I'm not saying that they're not. Don't get me wrong when I'm saying that the product is bad, because these athletes are very good, bigger, faster, stronger, all that stuff. But the game is watered down and not very good. But I think that because of the speed of the game, and you got a bunch of older guys who are the officials, they aren't used to this speed, right? So I think that that's the problem, is because of sports betting and because of fantasy football and everything else. that it's under the microscope a lot more. So that's why it looks like the officials are really bad. But because instant replay is so good, that's why the officials look so bad. Mistakes have been happening forever. Mistakes aren't new in the world of officiating, no matter what sport it is. So I don't, when people start blaming the officials for their team winning or losing, if you got to look at the guy in stripes on why you may have won or lost a game, you probably weren't going to win that game anyways. Very rarely does one call change the course of a season or the course of a game. Not very often at all. Does it compound things a little bit? Yes, but not very often is that the outlying reason why your team lost the game. So people's got to quit crying about officials pulling a game from out from under them. But let's get back to the National Football League. Actually, let's go to college football and the money grab that we were just talking about, obviously, in the National Football League. This 12-team playoff thing, what a disgrace that was a week and a half or a week ago tomorrow. Those every game blowout, not competitive, just terrible. Terrible. This backfired in the NCAA's face. This backfired in the college football playoff committee's face. This whole thing backfired in everybody's face. But you know what? Stupid people watch. I watched a little bit because I'm supposed to because I have a sports podcast and I like college football. But I knew all those games were the outcome. Every one of them, you knew the outcome before they even started. It was disgusting. It was poor. It was poor football right on through. And how the transfer portal and all that had nothing to do with any of those games at all. Then you watch these college bowl games now. USC plays, and I won't watch that for 2 seconds in the Las Vegas Bowl. I think they're in, but these games are just non factors at all. Why they have these bowl games? Well, it's for money, obviously, because they get sponsors and the teams get money to go to these games and everything else. But the money that got made on that college football playoff system for the 12 teams, they got to do a hard look back on that because it wasn't good. It was a bad look for college football. Every game was like you might as well not even have the other team there. Absolute blowouts from start to finish. And it was a bad look on teams that got in that shouldn't have and teams that didn't get in that maybe should have. I mean, like it was a 14, 15 seed. I don't know how well they would have done. But you look at a team like Indiana who can't beat anybody and they're in. Terrible football game. Like you look at SMU, terrible, awful effort. Tennessee, awful. Like the whole thing was just absolutely disgraceful. And it was a bad look for college football, which I love, and college sports, which I love. But it was definitely everyone. It was very transparent how much of a money grab that it was. And I think that after this year, they got to take a hard look to go back to 8 or maybe go back to the old days when they had a vote to see who would win this thing. They never will because how much money is involved. But it's football. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. I'm not going to say it's going to happen next year, but it could happen in the very near future where the NFL is going to have to maybe reevaluate how they put out this product. There's a reason why they went to 17 games. It wasn't for competitive balance because it's an imbalance schedule, 17 games, right? Odd number. Keep it at 16. They did it for more revenue, more money. They didn't do it for you or me. They didn't do it for you or me so we could watch more. They did it for you and me so they could take more money out of people's pockets. They could take more money out of advertisers' pockets and just make more because people were clamoring for it. But when the product goes down, as it has and as it is, I don't even know what's going to happen over the weekend. It was a bad display of athleticism on Christmas Day. It was a bad display of athleticism last night in that Thursday night game. And just get rid of the Thursday night game. Just get rid of it altogether. Just get rid of it. Nobody's clamoring for it. Just let it sleep. Monday's the end of this of the week. Start again on Sunday. Play Monday. Done. You don't need that Thursday night game. Al Michaels hates doing them. The broadcasters hate doing them. Everybody hates doing them. The players hate playing in them. Just get rid of it all and get back to just on Sundays and Mondays. Done. Problem solved. Don't do these midweek Christmas Day games just because you think people want to watch. And I actually had a funny comment. I was sitting when the Texans. Who did they even freaking play? That's how bad it was the other night. I was sitting with my mother-in-law Helen at the table waiting for Christmas dinner to get brewed up there. And I said, this NFL thing, I don't know if it's going to be good for marriages on Christmas Day or bad for marriages on Christmas Day because just with how many people were separated. Ravens Texans 31-2. You call that entertainment? 31-2. That's not entertaining. Anyway, so I was sitting with Helen and I was saying, I wonder if this is good for relationships or bad for relationships having games on Christmas Day because man, oh man, there's some there's some angry wives on both sides of the equation and happy wives on both sides of the equation. Like, oh, he's good. I got rid of him for a few hours. He's in the other room watching, or he's not just hovering around and bored. Or it's like, hey, can you spend some time with the family? And then she asked, she said, hypothetically, would you watch a baseball game on Christmas Day? Obviously, if it was different. And I said, you know what? I don't know if I would. It might be on in another room. You stumble over, not stumble. You're going to be stumbling on Christmas Day, but you walk over and it's something for people to watch. But to be glued to your TV for 6 hours during Christmas Day, I don't know. That's a bad look for your family, I think. If you're that invested in those type of games, that's a bad look. And you got to take a long, hard look at your family environment and what's going on, because there's got to be something better you can be doing with your time on Christmas Day than watching that drivel and that crap. That absolutely, it was awful. Like, it's just awful. Like, the product is bad. There's and the fake arguments they have of who should be the MVP, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, blah, blah, blah. You know, and the MVP doesn't always have to be a quarterback. Why does it have the best quarterback of the season and then everything else? Why does it always have to be a quarterback as the MVP? So the rest of the players are non-consequential? That's exactly what they're saying, and that's what I've been telling you. It does. None of it matters. None of this other BS matters. If your quarterback's no good, your team's no good. And that's what's wrong with the NFL. A lot of bad quarterbacks making a lot of money. I was laughing last week about Connor Bedard with the Chicago Blackhawks, and that was like I said, my brother-in-law. He's a Bears fan, and they went and got Caleb Williams. It's the same kind of deal. Yeah, the kid might be good in college or in junior, but come up with the big boys, and he's still got a crappy team. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Team's crappy. Your coach are crappy. Everything's crappy. So Chicago's got two young superstars who are coming to like, oh, geez, what did I get myself into? And that's what sports is. That's what sports is. You got it's crazy the business it's becoming. You try to get beyond it, like with listening to the podcast. And I'm not trying to be negative here as we go into the weekend of the holiday season. Isn't it great? Like, I just kind of did a little work today and kind of hovering around, do some on Monday and Tuesday. I call her good at 1 o'clock or whatever it might be. New Year's Day's Wednesday. And then it's pretty much the weekend again. So yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks here at 1420 World Headquarters, but it's unbelievable. The business of sports and how it's right in front of people's faces and they don't see it. And it's the ridiculous part of it is how bad it is. And if you say something to somebody how bad it is and they don't listen, you're like, dude, like, the games aren't good. They're not entertaining. It's just a penalty. Like, they're just, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And earlier on in the early renditions of this podcast, can't remember think of the word I was thinking about, but it's funny. Every team is this was back then when it was 16 games. Every team's 8-8. Every team's 8-8. And then you win one, lose one, win one, lose one here and there. And yeah, you get a 13-3 team, but or you get a 3-13 team, because it's just a back and forth. And it's like every team is right there, and the competitive balance is supposed to be there, but it's just not. To me, it's not entertaining. And the NFL's proving it. Proving my statements right. The NFL is all it is the popular kid in high school that you don't want to talk to when you get back in college, and that's what it's turning into. It's bad entertainment. It's not fun. It's the no fun league. The penalties that they're still calling on touchdown celebrations not as bad as it used to be, obviously, but it's just it's people are sick of it. And that's not me saying I told you so, because like I told you before, I don't mind telling people I told you so. I don't mind a pat in the back now and then, but like I've always said, a pat in the back is only 3 feet and a kick in the ass. But I can take a pat in the back on this one, that the NFL, it's not good. It's not good. It's not entertaining, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse once the playoffs get going. Obviously, it'll get a little bit better, but in general, it ain't good. And when you got to throw Beyonce out there to hope to get a different demographic to watch, and it works. It works. More ratings, more money, more revenue getting involved on. I heard they paid her a pretty good chunk of change to come out in the halftime show there. Once again, I saw some stuff on Twitter and I didn't care, so I just whatever. I spent the holidays not watching sports. I was with my family. Like I said, I watched the Steelers game a little bit, but then I was like, I don't care. This is bad. It was over before I tuned in. Like, the game was over, and it was close for a couple seconds, then it was just over, and then I had to laugh as well on when the game was over, that Texans Ravens game, my brother-in-law James, he came out and he goes, "Yeah, there was almost a turning point in that game where it could have went either way." And I was like, "It's 38-2. There couldn't have been." Like the other team took the foot off the gas and said we could have had that 78-2. I don't know what point of the game he was speaking of. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But what I do know, when it's 38-2 and that TSN turning point, it must have been one hell of a turning point that sloped everything the other way, because I don't know what old Jamesy boy was thinking there. But I guess I'll never find out, because that game we put in the back end of people's knowledge that even happened. It was a Christmas Day game. I heard the Netflix thing was better than the Tyson fight was, but it's one of those things. The NFL, it's huge. It's its own beast. There's no getting around that. But I really think they got to take a long, hard look at the competitive imbalance, the how teams just aren't good enough anymore. How if you don't have this, that, and everything else. And I set up this months ago on one of the Belly Up shows. I think it was on with the Corner Booth podcast there, or it doesn't much matter. But I basically said, like, because we were talking all this hyperbole of this team, that team, if they do this, if they do that. And I said, everything you guys are saying is just a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of crap. That team still has the X factor in Patrick Mahomes. They're going to win. Until he doesn't, then all of this is all just BS. It's all just noise out in the abyss, because he proved again and again and again. Are they getting the calls? Yeah. Every team gets a call here and there, but you know what? To be the man, you got to beat the man, and no one's beat the man so far. They got the one loss to the Bills this year, and whatever it happens. But because winning 16, let alone 17 in a row is tough. But all that other BS until someone beats Mahomes, and I know they didn't. The Steelers didn't come up with anything on Saturday, so or Wednesday. I keep thinking the week. It's the weekend and everything else. It's weird. This whole thing has really got into overtime, this vacation thing. I quite like it. Like I work in baseball, so it's not like a job, but it's a job. But anyways, there's my take on the popular kid in high school. It's funny if you think about it. Just think about it. How cool he was and everything else, and he's still doing the same thing. Telling the same. And I do it too. All my buddies, we all do it. We get together, we reminisce about glory days, everything else, but at least we kind of left town a little bit. So it's just funny to watch how the NFL works. It's popular, and people watch because they watch it. They just watch it because it's on, and that's it. You could turn the channel and watch something else. Like I'll get into the next segment there, which was refreshing, which did change my mind about things a little bit. Something I'll retract what I said a few weeks back. But right now, here's a few words from our friends, the Belly Up sponsor, our friends over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky. Thanks for friends over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout for 15% off the best in craft jerky in the land. I wish they would just make that available in Canada somehow. We'll get into that in half a second, too. I got a beef to pick with Americans a little bit. Not a big one, but there's a bit of a beef. That old Donald J. Trump, he better just butt out. Don't mess with Canada. Just butt out. There. I don't like to get political on the 1420 podcast, 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more, because there's nothing worse than a guy who's had a couple of beers who wants to start talking politics, and I've only had half of one today on a Friday afternoon. But there's nothing worse than talking politics when you've had a few drinks. But anyways, don't. We're not the 51st state. We're Canada. Don't. What's that? FAFO? There it is. That's all I have to say. Done. Okay? Good. Anyway, speaking of Canada and who was it, had few weeks back, I talked about how the unpopular the World Junior Tournament has become, and it's true, and it's it's not as popular as it used to be. And I had some drinks with some old friends in Medicine Hat over the break there on Monday night, I think it was. Went to the Silver Buckle and talked with Shaky and some guys there, and it's like nice catching up with those guys for sure, and Stretchy and Shaky and Troy and Curtis and they were talking about the same thing about the World Junior, how it's just not as popular as it once was, and it's not. It's just, and that's not a fake thing. But last night when we got back to Lethbridge, me and Deanne, we decided to go over to a local place, not our local watering hole, a different place that's it's a good sports bar. Like I'll give them a cheap plug, Backstreet West, and it's a great little spot. Beer's cold, beer's cheap, good. Lots of people of all ages, and walked in. We said, yeah, you know what? There'll be a lot of people in there watching a hockey game. So we roll in there, and you know what? It was great. The place was full. The games were on. They had the sound on. They had the Canada Finland game was just in the preliminary part of the game, the pregame warm up and the interviews and the talk. And they had some montages. TSN does a great job at a montage, but it was really entertaining, and it was kind of brought the old memory banks, and not, I wouldn't say a tear to my eye, but it was like when they put the montage on of the Canadian junior teams of the past who've won over the holidays, won gold medals, and it kind of go, okay, you know what, this is pretty cool still. And there was people watching the game, a few people with Canadian jerseys and T-shirts and hats and sweatshirts, might have been, that they were just there to kind of get back to the old days of how it used to be and how great that tournament used to be. And the Canada won last night 4-0 over Finland. Gavin McKenna, kid from Medicine Hat, scored the opening goal, and it was great. It was fun to watch, and like I said, the montages were fantastic, and the memory started flooding back. And I think, you know what, this is why we love this tournament. It's ours. Like, it doesn't get big ratings down in the States. It barely gets watched over in other countries. But when Canada puts it on and you start watching and you start to learn names of these kids, and you remember of some tournaments gone past. I got thinking last night while we were sitting there watching the game about the top 5 or 6 games or tournaments of the past. And so I put a little video together, and things like the next few days I'll get more of these out before this tournament's over. But back in 1990/91, how the tournament, it was after New Year's in 91 when Canada won the gold medal in Saskatoon, and this tournament kind of this is the one in Saskatoon that kind of put Canada on the map and put this tournament on the map right across the country, and became more of an annual tradition. And it was really fun to think about these things. And over the next few days, like I said, I'm going to put more of these together to watch a lot more of these and have some different memories. I hope people respond back and tell me what their favorite World Junior memories are. But I got thinking about this one back in 19. Oh, what the hell was it? Back in 1990, 1991. I can't find it anyways, but it was the World Junior that happened in Saskatoon, and the one where Pat Falloon, and there was a young Eric Lindros at the age of 17, and he was out there punching people and hitting people and everything else, and it was just very fun to watch. Oh, there it is. I got it right here. And John Slaney, the pride of St. John's, Newfoundland, he scored the winning goal with about 5 minutes left, and a slap shot from the point. Deflected. And you remember Kent Manderville jumping on Slaney, and the crowd in Saskatoon going absolutely bananas, and the crowd and the country were all behind these kids watching this, and the jubilation on the bench, and just how they beat the mighty Russians with Pavel Bure, I think, was on that team, and how it all came together. And that really put Canada, this tournament, on the map. And you still get goosebumps watching this thing, and you get a lot of good memories flood back. And you remember getting the jerseys and wanting to tackle the jerseys, and you're jumping on your buddies playing in the rotary rink afterwards, and you're having a good time. And the celebrations, you knew these kids, and that's the thing that you forget about, is that they're just kids, right? The age of 17 and 19 years old. Some go on to become multimillionaires. Some go on to have long NHL careers. A lot of them don't. There was a young guy by the name of Scott Niedermeyer. Nobody really knew how he was going to turn out. He had limited ice time in that tournament. We knew he could skate like the wind. The guy who scored the game-winning goal, John Slaney, had a cup of coffee in the National Hockey League. You had Brad Mayday on that team, had a long career in the National Hockey League, but he was never a goal scorer. But he played a role on that Canadian team. And that the role players that played on those teams back then, they weren't all highly skilled guys. You had fourth liners, you had third liners, you had guys who accepted roles. They may have been 100-point guys guys on their junior teams, but they decided, you know what, I'm going to play for Team Canada. I want to get a championship and have fun with this. And this one in Saskatoon was one of the best ones ever. It put the tournament on the map for TSN. It kind of probably what made TSN what it is today. You remember the giant flag that they had, and I was in that building a few weeks ago in Saskatoon there, and you kind of had to put a smile on my face remembering those old times. I remember, and like that's the thing about this tournament, that you kind of got, I was waxing poetic last night watching it. And a lot of this tournament, it has a lot of I knew where I was, or I remember when, and that tournament has a lot to do with it. So we're really gonna jump on this bandwagon and watch the game again tonight. They got like Belarus or something tonight. I can't even remember who it is, but it should be a blowout tonight. Canada should go up 2-0. But the tournament is great. These kids that deserve it. The names that on that 1999/91 team, just up and down the lineup. You remember like the Kent Manderville. He was just recently graduated high school out of Notre Dame, Saskatchewan, where I was currently at that time where I was. So Manderville kind of, you had a little bit of you're cheering on the side for him, and he was the one who jumped on Slaney and scored the goal. And you just remember all those times. I wasn't a whole bunch, well, still not. Like I was only a couple, 3 years younger than some of those guys on that team, and so you were like, man, maybe I'd like to play there one day. I was never good enough, but maybe I could have some youthful exuberance and bad choices over the years of my hockey career might have changed that path and that everything. But watching those games and then how it transferred over the years, how Canada was dominant, and it was our Christmas tradition. So it was fun to see people out and about last night putting all the crap behind them, and it was real patriotism. Like it was actual patriotism, not this crap that we see on TV, like we talked about earlier, Donnie. Butt out. The patriotism that was true patriotism back then, and everybody was behind the team, and there were Canadian flags being flown down the street, people had them in their cars, and people wearing flags with pride, and on it goes. So hopefully that can continue through this next week and a half, and some of these other kids who you don't really know yet, they'll become household names. And for 2 weeks, man, oh man, these kids are the kings. So everything I said 2 weeks ago, like I said, I'm going to give it a try. This was 2 weeks ago. I said, I'm going to give it a try. It's not the same. We gave it a try last night and quite enjoyed the surroundings and the camaraderie and everything that came with it. And it's because nothing brings two people together like the dislike of a third. And New Year's Eve, baby, Canada, US. Bring back the rivalry, see what happens. Should be a doozy. And that old tradition, I remember watching a few of those ones. That'll be a funny story for later on in the week. But there's the first one, or maybe 5 or 6 I'll do of these in the coming future. That assistant was brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save some $20. Maybe get some World Junior tickets or whatever it might be. But no, it was really fun to watch that. And like the montage gets you going again, and you go Canada, go, and it gets the guys smiling and remember when. A lot of remember whens last night. We're going around the bar talking about what team was the best and everything else. So over the next week and a half, when we do these shows, I'll get more of these little video clips and stuff up there for you to reminisce. So make sure if you listen on podcast, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button so you know when they come on. But anyways, yeah, we'll get to our programming schedule. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we're going to start this thing called Last Call. We did a few of them a couple of years back, but it's going to be an every Sunday thing. So Last Call with Belly Up guys and some of the contacts I've made around the podcast world. So every Sunday, I think it's 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Check your local listings. We're going to be doing Last Call. And then Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, starting this week, we'll be doing the morning shows. So 14:20 in the morning, 4 coffees with us. Don't drink 4 coffees in 14 minutes. That might not be good for your bowels and anything else. And then Monday nights and Thursday nights, we'll be doing the 1420 show, obviously. And then Tuesday nights, the Bullhorn Baseball Report will be every day. So it's going to be recording every day, but Saturdays, that'll be Brent's time, more Deanne's time, I guess is a better way of putting it. But that's going to be the broadcast schedule from this point going forward. I really enjoy this. I in the 4 years, I'm kind of just didn't think I was going to get this far, and how it's all become. We've got new merchandise coming to go with our new logo and to get the word out there. But the downloads are still there, even though we took some time off this summer. Had a bit of change with the show, as you guys all know. But it's still a lot of fun for me. Still a lot of fun talking sports, something I've always wanted to do. There's still more I want to get done with this crazy thing, things we want to try to accomplish with this crazy thing. But it's a goal of mine. It's a goal I've had since I was a young kid. fledgling broadcaster. Took 25 years more so of my life to get started doing it, but we're doing it now, so it's been a lot of fun. But we're going to get this thing going and get this thing moving in a not a different direction, but a new direction. And yeah, it's going to be great. So we'll just keep moving forward and hope you guys enjoy the show. Keep listening, keep telling people about the show. That's the best way this thing gets going. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's great too. Drop us a line. Tell us what you don't like. If you don't like me, well, don't tell me that. I'll get hurt feelings. But there it is. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. The new merch will be up on the website probably mid to next week. Probably actually New Year's Day, we'll kick it off. We'll get it up there, start placing some orders. And like I show the show schedules, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, the morning show, last calls on Sundays, the normal shows on Mondays and Thursdays, the Bulls baseball report, the Bullhorns on Tuesday nights, and we'll go from there. So a lot going on, lots happening. Hope you guys keep enjoying the show. Keep talking about it, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Listen to lots of different shows in the Belly Up Network. Listen to The Fan in the Van, two dudes of sports news. My guy Lou Gamlin over there, the Captain Lou Experience, Cigar and Sports, Brutally Honest Sports, doing a show with Aaron tomorrow. All those things. Happy New Year's. If you don't hear from me again, if you don't watch, that's on you. So I'll be on tomorrow and Monday and Wednesday. You'll see my ugly head. Won't see me Wednesday. I don't think. Maybe. Who knows how New Year's goes? But we'll have all this stuff going on. So yeah, go Canada, go. See if you can't go out and win yourself world gold and bring some new memories to this crazy country of ours, and we can be true patriots for a week and a half, and forget all this other mumbo jumbo. Be warned. Be very warned. I don't know how much juice Atwood's going to get across the United States, but I think my friends friends south of the border, they know what I'm talking about. But anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, For Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. Remember where you are. No, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Don't swing at high pitches and something. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking. What the heck is that? Keep your stick on the ice. And I don't want to see Jim swinging at high pitches. We'll talk to you guys. It's like I had 140 beers today. I've had half a beer. Crazy. 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network.